New developments now in the Aaron Hernandez murder trial.
Testimony was put on hold today, but lawyers argued over several key motions, including whether jailhouse phone calls made by the former football star should be allowed as evidence.
Eyewitness News reporter Susan Campbell is live outside Fall River Superior Court with the mobile newsroom.
Attorneys went through transcripts call by call. The judge will allow some of those calls, but not others. Soon after Aaron Hernandez was arrested and charged with Odin Lloyd's murder, he made several phone calls from the Bristol County House of Corrections. The calls were recorded, but the defense doesn't want the jury to hear them.
It has the likelihood to confuse and mislead the jury, and we would ask that it be excluded.
During a hearing Wednesday morning, prosecutors singled out several calls between Hernandez and his fiancée Cheyenne Jenkins, and also calls between Hernandez and his cousin Tanya Singleton. Singleton pleaded guilty to criminal contempt after refusing to testify in front of the grand jury in this case. Prosecutors believe Hernandez paid Singleton for her silence, and they say a phone call discussing trust funds for Singleton's sons plays into that argument.
The Commonwealth's position is that this is a step in the road to securing the conduct that then occurs at the grand jury.
The Commonwealth's ability to engage in imaginary behavior knows no bounds, Your Honor, and this is exactly what they're trying to encourage the jury to do. They are not encouraging reasonable inferences. They are not encouraging any evidence-based conclusions. They are instead trying to ascribe meaning to words which obviously have multiple meanings.
The judge said before any phone calls or transcripts are allowed, they have to be authenticated. Though the judge said she will allow some of the calls, she hasn't ruled yet on which ones. Coming up new at 6, the phone call between Aaron Hernandez and his fiancée that the judge is considering. Live in Fall River with the Southeastern Massachusetts Mobile Newsroom, Susan Campbell, Eyewitness News.
Now the latest developments in the Aaron Hernandez murder trial. There was no testimony today, but lawyers did argue over a number of important motions. New at 6, details on the call between the former football star and his girlfriend that the judge is considering. Eyewitness News reporter Susan Campbell joins us outside Fall River Superior Court.
Prosecutors say the call shows the cover-up of a crime. The defense says it's not relevant at all. During the investigation into Odin Lloyd's death, Aaron Hernandez's cousin, Tanya Singleton, was arrested and charged with contempt for refusing to testify in front of the grand jury. While she was in jail, Hernandez asked his fiancée, Cheyenne Jenkins, to give Singleton money. The couple's phone conversation was recorded. Prosecutors read Jenkins' response.
Well, I'm trying to follow what my lawyers are telling me to follow, and then you keep trying to have me do other things.
Prosecutors believe the money was payment for Singleton's silence. The defense doesn't want the jury to hear that phone call.
He doesn't order her to do anything. He makes a request. He asks for a favor. This is canteen money for an individual who doesn't have money of her own, and he makes a request. And Ms. Jenkins appears in this snippet of the conversation to decline, and that's the end of it.
A co-conspirator doesn't have to do everything they're asked to still be a willing participant in the conspiracy. There can be a give and take. She resists. Ultimately, we know that in fact the money is provided.
The judge has not decided which calls will be allowed. The judge plans to voir dire Alexander Bradley sometime next week to determine if the jury can hear his testimony. The judge has already ruled Bradley is not allowed to testify about allegedly being shot in the face by Aaron Hernandez. In Fall River with the Southeastern Massachusetts Mobile Newsroom, Susan Campbell, Eyewitness News.